Okay, so this is the exact sales process that I've been using to close high-ticket clients from India to a 25% close rate consistently. Now, keep in mind, this is on this video. I'm just going to be walking through the what to say, essentially the scripting part of it. In sales, there's a lot of layers to it, like tonality, like the mindset of the frame that you're on the call with. So a lot of these things are really going to determine the close rate and ultimately how many people you're actually able to convert. But all those additional things are out of the scope for this video. In this video, I'll just be breaking down essentially what to say. All the additional things like the tonality side of things, the way you present yourself on the calls, the non-verbal communication sort of things, like the body language, like the mindset when it comes to being on sales calls. All of that is not out of the scope of this video. If you guys are interested in that, drop a comment and maybe I can record a separate video from that, because if I were to go over that in this call, in this video, it would just be a very long video. So yeah, let's dive into the actual scripting. So when you're on the call with, let's say, a prospect, there's really two scenarios, right? You can be on a call with an outbound prospect, meaning someone that you reached out to via cold email, via like a Facebook post that you made, or like a DM that you left them on IG or Facebook. It can be something like that. So that's an outbound prospect. If it's an inbound prospect, meaning they booked a call on your calendar, that's a different scenario, right? So you want to approach different scenarios with in different ways, basically. If it's an outbound prospect, so let's say if for example, if it's someone that you contacted them on Instagram, and you want to contact them basically to book them in, you can start with this framing right here. So it looks like you responded to one of my DMs the other day about possibly bringing in new patients, and I just had some time to get back to you and just calling to see if you have a few minutes right now to chat. Is now a bad time for you? At that point, they would be like, okay, now's a good time, and now's not a good time. If they're like, now's a good time, they have time now. You can dive right into the connecting phase. If they're like, now is not a good time, and I'm busy, at that point you can you can just book them in to like an intro call on a specific date and time. Again, when you're in the call with people, you don't and they're not available, you don't want to just be like, okay, I can just call you whenever. You want to get a specific date and time that you can call them at, just so your chance of getting a hold of them again is going to be dramatically higher. So that's going to be the outbound call part. The inbound call part, this is when someone has booked on your calendar. So how you should be opening the call in that scenario. So after that, yeah, it looks like you had booked on my calendar, John, about possibly getting some outside help when it comes to bringing new patients in the clinic. And again, this you would have to change the terminology of from patients to jobs or projects or whatever, depending on your niche. This is just like an overarching structure. And this first call is very simple. I just want to understand a bit more about your clinic, what's working, what's not working, and if everything makes sense, we can go over possible next steps. Is that fair with you? So at that point, we did a quick frame. We let them know how the call is going to go. You want to understand a bit more about the business, what's working, what's not working, and you'll kind of go from there if everything makes sense. So that's that. And after that, you move on to the question point. So again, this was the opening part of it, because a lot of times if you butcher the opening, you might not even get into the pocket. You might not even be able to start the conversation in the first place. So it's very important that you nail this down, because it's really going to be the first impression of them with your business, right? So you really want to nail this down. So that's the first thing. Then this kind of comes to the connecting phase. So this is when you kind of start leaning into and start understanding a bit more about what they're dealing with, get like an overarching understanding on the business. So this is where you can there's a few things you can ask, right? And we've had some variations here. So hey, can I actually ask you out of curiosity, like what attracted your attention when you saw this email in the first place? Or you can ask them, okay, when you saw the DM on Instagram, like was there anything specific that stood out to you? Okay, so what made you want to reach out? Something like that to really understand why they are on the call with you in the first place. This is really the goal of the connecting phase. Find out why they're on the call with you, so that you have a frame that you can kind of take the rest of the call with. So that's the connecting phase. After that, you want to go on the situation phase. So after you have like an overarching reason as to why they're on the call with you, this could be to learn more about what you guys have to offer, or this could be to solve the XYZ problem. So this is after that, the goal of the situation phase is to really find out about their current situation, where they're currently at in the process, and what they're currently doing to solve the problem that they mentioned earlier. So in the connecting phase, you should get like at least some sort of understanding on what they're dealing with, right? What problem are they trying to solve by being on this call, right? And if you get like very surface level answers when you ask them this question, what attracted your attention, or like what made you want to reach out? If they're just like, okay, I just want to learn more about the business. Obviously, you want to learn more about what we have to do, but I'm assuming you don't just hop on calls all day to learn more about people's businesses, right? So is there anything specific problem that you're trying to solve? So at that point, when we get that answer, we're essentially probing them to give us a bit more specific details about what problem they're trying to solve, and just go beyond. Just I'm just trying to find more about what you do. So the situation phase, this is where we again understanding the situation a bit better. So this is where we can ask them what avenues they're currently doing to get new clients right now. So this might be word of mouth, or whatever they're doing. You want to get an overarching structure on everything that you're currently doing, and their strategy. How long have you been doing it for? So you're kind of getting a time frame on that. So how is that been ever since you guys started the business, or that's something you started doing more recently? For example, if this SEO, they've been doing SEO. How long have you been doing SEO for? And after that, you want to understand, okay, you want to get a number on things, right? So let's say if you're doing X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C, you want to get like a number on, okay, on average, like how many new clients are they getting from everything that they're currently doing. So 10 so at that point they will give you some sort of number, right? So this, for example, it's 10 patients per week or 10 clients per week. So at that point you want to get understanding on, okay, this number consistent week after week, or does that fluctuate a lot? So at that point when you're asking them that question, you're really trying to again find a problem there as well. So that weekly patient number they mentioned, if they're like it's very consistent, at that point you can just ask them, okay, so would you say you're satisfied with the way things are currently going? So when you're doing that, because again they mentioned like 10 per week and that's pretty consistent, so it doesn't give us anything to work on, right? So we can ask them a more broader question at that point. So hey, would you say you're satisfied with the results you've been getting? So most of the times they'd be like, if I was satisfied, I was not on the call with you. So you can probe on that a bit more. So you can be like, okay, so you said you're not that satisfied. I mean, that can mean different things to different people. Can you be more specific with me? It's like, what do you feel could be improved more so in the current strategy, in the way you're currently getting results? Is it just the volume of patients that are coming in, or is it also the quality of patients, right? So at that point you're just getting a better clarity on what's like what's the exact problem is. So you're giving them two different options as opposed to asking them, we already asked them a broader question, we didn't get an answer. So now we're giving them two different options to choose from. So they can either say it's a volume issue, or they can say it's a quality issue. Whatever they say, we're in the pocket. So at that point we can probe on that. So that's that. So yeah, I think we were over here. So once you get like a better understanding on, okay, it's a volume issue, for example. Okay, so when you say it's a volume issue, can you be more specific with me? So you want to clarify that a bit more, right? There's a few things you want to do in the problem awareness phase. You want to first clarify, what they mean when they say X, Y, Z, or whatever the problem is. Then you want to get a time frame on it. Then you want to understand like what do you feel, what do they feel caused the problem in the first place. Then you want to understand, okay, why now? Like, why is it important for them to solve this now? This has been going on for however long they mentioned over here. What made them want to, what's driving the need for them to address this now? And after that, you want to get an understanding of why not just keep doing what they're doing. For example, earlier they would have mentioned that they're doing certain things to solve the inconsistency, right? Or whatever the problem they mentioned the problem is. So at that point you can kind of probe on that a bit more. So okay, so you mentioned you've been already doing referrals and word of mouth to potentially solve the inconsistency or like the volume challenge. Can I ask you, like, is there any reason you're looking for like a more advanced system in place now? Like, why not just maybe double down on word of mouth and try to scale the business that way? So at that point, we're just getting a rationale from them as to why they can't just keep doing what they're doing. Because again, if you don't address this now, this might come up as an objection later on. So by asking these questions, we're essentially leveraging the consistency bias. So we're asking them to give us reasons as to why they need to do this. They need to have a marketing, they need to hire someone now, and why keeping doing what they're doing is not enough for them to scale and get to where they want to get to, what they mentioned earlier. So essentially, at the end, because we have already hit on all of these things, they won't go against what they already mentioned. So we're essentially checking the boxes on the back end, so that so at the end of the call, they can't say anything that we haven't already addressed. So we're tied down so good, and the way we hold them accountable to what they say is so good, that we essentially leveraging the consistency bias, and you simply won't get any objections because you already addressed all of these situations on the front end. Okay, so there was that. After that, so once you figure out, okay, why they're on the call, then you figure out their current situation, then you figure out the problem, you probe on that a bit more. After that, you want to transition to the demo, right? So this is basically all we're going to be doing on the front end. And the demo would basically be a solution to whatever the problems we found out on the call. So for example, if the problem was not having as much consistency in the client base, client numbers. So at that point, the transition would just be us figuring out, like, us giving them a solution. So on the demo call, we'll just be showcasing to you how we can help you and how we've been helping clients just like you, solve X, Y, and Z thing that you mentioned you've been struggling with, right? So at that point, they understand why showing up to the demo is important, because they will be getting a solution to the thing that they mentioned earlier, right? And because by asking all of these questions and probing deep into the problem, you kind of expanded the gap. There's so much, the pain has expanded basically. So they feel that the desire of them actually having that demo and really finding a solution to that is so much higher. And that's why you can't simply just ask them what's your problem and move on, because again, the gap is not going to be big enough. So basically, when you're on sales call, the only thing you're doing is you're in the current situation, they're in the current situation, and they have a desired situation that they want to get to. And your service is nothing but a bridge between them kind of getting from where they are to where they want to get to. That's all it is. That's all sales is. So the bigger you can make that gap from where they currently are to where they want to get to, basically the more desire they're going to have to kind of bridge that gap by using your services. So that's really what it comes down to. So yeah, so this is like a transition example. A lot of times what you will notice is if you transition without giving them anything, any nudges on what you guys do, it's going to be harder to make that transition. Like, people will be very reluctant. So you have to give them something. But again, you can be a bit broader, just so you can have them on a computer and have them on like a desk, and because the chance of them making a bad decision is much higher that way. So at that point, they can be like, you can be like, great, well, I appreciate you learning more about the practice. Just so you can get an idea of what we do without me boring you to death. Also, 20% of what we do is projecting an educational video. This would be on a 5 to 7 mile radius of the clinic. The goal would be to really communicate with your ideal audience as to what we want them to know. But that's really the 20% of what we do. The other 8% is on the back end. So, and again, feel free to customize this as you want. This is just what I normally use. And after that, you want to just be like, after you've done that, then you want to be like, okay, and if you're open to it, I'd love to get 25 minutes of your time, maybe later this week or early next week, just to dive a bit deeper into what you might be looking to accomplish. And I'm just looking at my calendar now. So you basically just assume that you're looking at the calendar now. And on that call, you're just giving them a visual breakdown on how everything works. So yeah, at that point, you book them in onto like a demo, and that was the intro part. On the demo, it's nothing too crazy. The only thing you want to do on the demo, and by the way, when you book in the demo, you want to book them in either the same day or the next day. If you book them in later, all the gap that you built on that intro call, you will essentially have to build that gap again, because again, they won't be in the same emotional state anymore. So same day, next day is the best case scenario. If they don't have any availabilities, you'll have to work with what you got basically, right? So then on the demo call, again, like I mentioned, it's very basic. What you want to do is you want to do a quick recap of whatever you mentioned earlier. So you want to do a quick recap of what they mentioned the problem was that they were trying to solve. You want to kind of have them talk a little bit more about it, just so we can get them into the same frame of mind as they were in the intro. Again, if they're available right after you do the intro, you have opening, they have an opening. I would get the demo right then and there, because you don't have to do any of the reframing anymore. So that's kind of the best case scenario. But if you're just booking them out like a day out or like 2 days out, you want to recap what you guys mentioned, get them to talk a little bit more about the problem, just so you can get them on their frame of mind, and then you basically share your screen and walk them through the process. The demo part, again, that can be a whole different video in itself. There's a lot that goes into it as well. In this video, I just want it to be more specific, and really walk you guys through the intro part of it, because I know that's something that most of the beginners really struggle with in terms of how to build a gap. Because if you have this dialed in, like you've done like 80% of the work if you have a good gap, because now you have desire in their mind. Uh, so this is what majority of the people kind of butcher. Like they just do all sort of weird stuff. So you want to dial this in first, and then the demo part becomes a lot easier. The demo is basically you walking through the process in the present. It's nothing too crazy, but this is like the where majority of the sales happen or don't happen. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions on that. If you want this document, just leave a comment, and or just join the Discord, and I can send this over to you guys. But yeah, hope you got some value from this, and stay tuned for the next one.